This video contains massive spoilers from major events of the series, including the finale. Keep watching at your own risk.
Change was scary, and it was hard for me to open my heart to others again. But I'm glad I did. We spend our lives afraid of change. But after many years, I realized the beauty of life is the change.
Change and storytelling often come together, especially in stories for kids. But Amphibia goes one step further and makes change the main pillar of the series. Amphibia is about change. So, let's see how Amphibia changed the Calamity Trio first. Thanks to the Boonchuy and the SJMS principle, we know that before going to Amphibia, Anne was irresponsible, took the easiest path in life, and gave in easily to peer pressure. But all that changed when she stood up against the Toad and Sasha in Toad Tags and Reunion. Her mom notices she's more responsible when she returns home, and in the finale, she sacrificed herself for the greater good. Sasha was the queen bee. She wanted control, and landing in Toad Tower only made things worse. Her redemption was the subject of much discussion, so to make this more enjoyable, I compiled some scenes from her arc.
You're upset because you lost your friend! You're upset that Anne stood up to you, and that things between you will never be the same again.
What if Anne's right? What if I am a horrible person? Come on, Anne. Take the helmet back.
No way! You're clearly the better commander.
But after everything I did to you, I don't deserve it.
Sasha, not too long ago, you would have fought to keep the helmet. The fact that you don't want it now proves you've changed.
Yeah, maybe.
Marcy is the tough one. Not only does she happen to land with the plot twist villains, but she also represents the ideals. She didn't want change. She wanted to stay in Amphibia forever, because going back home meant moving with her parents and saying goodbye to her friends. We'll come back to her in a bit. There's something we need to talk about first. Gravity Falls, with one less season, gathered off screen all the minor antagonists for the final battle. Amphibia, on the other hand, gives character arcs to most of its antagonists, and I really like that. But not only antagonists. Wardwood had to change their traditional narrow-minded way of living to accept Anne and her friends. And finally, but probably the most important, frogs, toads and newts working together to defeat Andrias after 1000 years of hostility. And speaking of Andrias, let's talk about the villains. Andrias is the perfect villain for Anne. They started the series in a similar situation. Both care about their friends. Both are influenced by a close person, and the expectations on both are high. The difference is that Andrias doesn't allow himself to change. He spent 1000 years holding a grudge against Leaf and Beryl and waiting to invade Earth, not because he cares about the kingdom, but to get his father's approval. He befriends Marcy and shows how much he cares about her several times, but not wanting to disappoint his father again, he ends up alone once more. He lets himself change after reading Leaf's letter. He gives up in the middle of the battle and asks Anne to save Marcy. Later, he stands up against his father exactly as Anne did to Sasha in Toad Tower.
You fool! You could have been immortal! What are you doing?
Something I should have done a long time ago. Standing up to you!
We go back to Marcy. As we said before, she wants to avoid change. That's what makes her prone to being used by Andrias and the Core. At the end of the aquarium episode, Andrias asks Marcy to retrieve the music box so that she can spend all her life exploring worlds with Anne and Sasha. But deep down, she knows that neither Anne or Sasha want that. And it is not until she is confronted with an ideal version of her friends, made by the Core especially for her, that she comes to terms with herself. She loves her friends, not because they want the same things she does, but despite the fact that they don't. I appreciate a lot that the crew avoided Andrias and Sasha defeating Darcy with the power of friendship. I hate that cliché, and I believe that Marcy had to deal with this herself. And finally, we have the evil overlord of Amphibia. The core is the embodiment of refusing to change. Everyone around changes sooner or later, but the core doesn't. It clings to the past and cheats death itself, being death the biggest change all of us must face someday. The core is eventually defeated by those who are open to change. I think the core is a brilliant metaphor of that part of ourselves that holds us back, that drags us to our comfort zone and makes us closed-minded and fearful of new things. We all have a core to defeat inside us. Amphibia makes it very clear that change is inevitable. The hardest thing is accepting that you can't hold on to something forever. I could go on and on about how nostalgia is ruining more and more lives lately. Instead, I will finish this long enough video with one question for you. Amphibia is over. Are you gonna let that inner core of yours blind you of all the other great things that life has and will have to offer? It is up to us to move on, accept that Amphibia may never come back, and treasure this unforgettable experience forever. Thank you, Matt and all the crew.